going to have the better season next year? Thomas Partey or Yves Bissouma at Tottenham? North London rivals, both with two excellent midfielders. I'm not going to get into the numbers side of things because everybody gets stressed. I played here, he's really that. Who's going to have the better season, Patrick? Bissouma or Thomas Partey?
Oh, Terry, what a gent. You let me go first. I thought you was going to let them not go first. So, yeah, thank you for that. The poll says it all, man. 3,000 votes. There's nowhere they're all Spurs fans. That's a nice mix. They're all saying Bissouma for obvious reasons. The fact that Bissouma is now moved to Tottenham, so he'll be playing alongside better quality week in and week out with a better manager as well, so he will up a level or two. It's a no-brainer. Bissouma will actually play at least 30 games a season. So for one, you actually see him on the pitch. He's just as good at Partey and everything Partey does, if not better. The Atletico Madrid version of Partey was the guy that we all fell in love with. We all love to watch. And, this version that I've seen at Arsenal, I don't know what to say, man. The guy's not been good at all. Even Partey come out himself and said, I've been a 3 out of 10, I think he said. 3 or 4 out of 10. I know I've not been great. 2 weeks later, he was injured again. So that the guy's a joke. And I'm not worried about Partey. To be fair, Bissouma will definitely have the better season. It is what it is.
My turn. Okay, so Patrick didn't say anything right there. Let's start from the beginning. He did not get injured. 2 weeks later, he played for 5 months after that, and he was one of the best midfielders in the league. Like, that's how we got into the top 4 race, was because he was basically unplayable for like 5 months. To say he did nothing is shocking. And I actually think Bissouma and Partey played the same amount of minutes last season. I think I looked that up. So it's not like Bissouma's out here playing like much more games, like playing the same amount, and all this about,
only because of other extenuating circumstances. But
okay, fair. But what I will say is that, like, you're saying that Bissouma can do everything that Thomas Partey does. He doesn't do anything similar to what Thomas Partey does. Graham Potter doesn't let him. What he does is he wins the ball and passes it to somebody who can pass. That's what he does.
Bissouma had the most tackles in the league in his position last year.
No, I know, but we're talking about, you said they do the exact same thing, or he can do the exact same thing. He's not tasked to pass through the lines or pass forward. He's in the 7th percentile for progressive passes. He basically passes sideways and backwards. Thomas Partey is in the 80th percent. No, they don't do anything similar. Now, Bissouma, amazing player. I think he's going to have a good season, but I think it's overplayed that Thomas Partey is like crap, because we wouldn't have been anywhere near the top 4 without him.
I wouldn't say crap, but he's not been the guy you thought you would sign in. That's what I would say. He's not crap.
The only reason why he hasn't been is because he was injured, and you couldn't have foreseen it because he never got injured at Atleti. But last season, he was damn good. When he played, he was pretty freaking good, especially because he's the only reason why we were in the top 4 race.
Except when he was taking shots. Every shot was going in Rose Ed. Definitely Bissouma's got a better shot.
He had more goals. He has more goals. He had more goals than Bissouma last season.
Yeah, because he took about 100 more shots. So he should do, innit?
I mean, you're not going to get any goals from Bissouma at all.
He scored some goals. He's definitely scored some goals.
By the way, Jess, Bissouma's been in the Premier League for what? 4 seasons? You talk about Thomas Partey's injury history, but I'm not saying Bissouma has a massive injury history, but he's only played 1 season over 30 games. So this thing that he's always fit and available is not accurate. Second of all, when it comes to Bissouma and Thomas Partey, yes, you can compare them defensively and the defensive contributions. But when it comes to, as Jess said, going forward, it's 2 different players. We've done this before. You tried to compare Højbjerg to Partey. The only reason why you're comparing these players to Partey is because 1, they play for Tottenham, and 2, because Partey's the benchmark in comparison to what you guys have. He's the best midfielder out of both of our teams, and there's no debate in that.
I don't know about that. And the season before last, Højbjerg did have the better season than Partey. Even Arsenal fans came out and said that. So I don't know where you're getting this benchmark from. It's rubbish.
Partey was good. Thomas Partey had a bad season. He had a bad season last season.
So a gal saying
the
that
season
is
before
all
last.
nonsense.
The season before last. This last season, he was Are you not going to recognize that?
No, he was
dictates
better
play?
than Højbjerg.
Yves
I'll give you
Bissouma
that.
is not allowed to do anything at Brighton besides win the ball back and kick it to somebody who can pass between the lines.
And if that's his
He
job
doesn't
and
do
he's brilliant
anything
at
like
it,
that.
then that's fantastic. We don't
But
need
let's not
somebody
act
to
like
do
he's
all
all around. Don't act like he's nowhere. He can't sit at the same table as Thomas Partey. In terms
Patrick,
of
let me ask you a question.
controlability.
Let me,
like, come on. He's
let me ask
just
a
a
question
good.
quickly.
He's a really good destroyer. That's it. Like,
if you take
real.
if you take Bissouma and you put him in Arsenal, does he do what Partey does for Arsenal?
Probably, yeah.
Does he do it as well? Does he do it as well? Because I know if you probably put Partey in Spurs,
I think so.
He could probably do a better job than what Bissouma would do. But do you genuinely think that?
I think so. I don't see why not.
You don't watch Thomas Partey then. He dictates play. He plays more like Rodri than anybody else.
No, I don't know about that.
You don't actually watch him. You don't actually watch him if you think that.
Let me just interject for a minute. Because the question, guys, let me interject. The question isn't can Bissouma do Thomas Partey's job? It's who's going to have the better season next year. So if Bissouma's role, like this is the thing, like this is why when people say someone's a 6 or someone's an 8, it bothers me because people there's different ways of doing the same job. Like Michael Carrick was a defensive midfielder, but he didn't play like Claude Makelele or I'm thinking of N'Golo Kante, but they played the same position. The point I'm asking is who's going to have the better and more impactful season next year for their teams? Bissouma for Spurs or Partey for Arsenal?
Simply put,
I think it's
Thomas Partey. I think Thomas Partey is going to have more of an impact for Arsenal than Bissouma is going to have for Tottenham. Sorry, not even that. Let me just change it. I think he's going to have a better season. Forget about what I just said. I think he's going to have a better season than Bissouma. When it comes to impact, that depends on the team. Obviously, he could have a massive impact for Tottenham. But when it comes to the player, themselves, without Thomas Partey, we look like a shell of ourselves. With Thomas Partey, we look like a decent side, and we just look at the points that we picked up with him. And I think Thomas Partey is probably one of the most crucial players in our cog. He undoubtedly is probably one of the best players in our team. And if he's fit and available, he will definitely have a better season. If he does get injuries, that's the only situation.
But you're saying you said all of that, and then you had a big caveat saying if it's who's going to have the better season. If Partey plays 10 games or 15 games, and then Bissouma plays.
Partey plays anywhere between 25 games and over. Boom! Immediately you're going to see his impact. But if he's injured and he's coming in and out every single way, that's where you see his poor.
I think it's going to be Thomas Partey, But I think Bissouma is going to have a significant influence on, I think you'll see an improvement in your team instead of having like a Winks or somebody like that next to Højbjerg, if that's how you guys decide to play. But if Bissouma was out, I still think you could probably play the same. We cannot play the way that we play without Thomas Partey. And what he's asked to do is so specific that not a lot of midfielders could actually do it. It's very difficult. He's like a single point of failure, which is a weakness, but is also our strength at the same time. So I think if Thomas Partey can stay fit, I think he'll have a better season, but that's a big if. But Bissouma, let's not sit here. I'm not going to sit here and act like Bissouma's crap. The guy is mustard as well. So yeah it could be really close, but I'm always going to go with Partey. I think he's a better player.
I think Partey is the more complete midfielder than Bissouma, personally, because I feel like Partey can contribute a bit more defensively than Bissouma can contribute offensively. And I think that offensively Partey is miles ahead of Bissouma. I think defensively, I think Bissouma is miles ahead of Partey. That's my personal view. When it comes to it,
I agree with that.
I think one thing that we're not looking at is Bissouma has Conte and Partey has Arteta. And I know that we've already seen what Partey is like in an Arteta system. However, I think that when you put Bissouma into a system that has Antonio Conte, and Conte is one of the best managers in the league, I think it is going to elevate his game just that little bit more. And I think they're already quite on the same level. So if I'm saying he goes into Conte and Conte elevates him just that bit more, I think he'll go ahead. I think he'll have a better season.
Yeah, I did say that. It was part of my opening speech, David. I did say that. So yeah, I agree. Well said.
It also depends on who they play with as well. Sorry, just really quick as well. If he's playing next to Xhaka, I think he'll be relatively the same. But if we were to bring in Tielemans, which I do feel like we probably will, I think that midfield flies. I really do. And I think you see a better Thomas Partey. I think he's held back by Xhaka a lot.
And the rotation.
So
if we have the rotation, do not worry about these things. That also
like I think Odegaard, Tielemans, Partey is a better midfield than whatever you're gonna have plus Højbjerg and Bissouma. Like I just think it's better.
So, it wouldn't be Højbjerg. It would be Bissouma, Bentancur, and then possibly that. That's it. We only play 2 in midfield. So Højbjerg, Bentancur.
To me, that
and
still
Finn.
would be better than if
Really?
I think the systems are going to play.
Yeah.
Why are you surprised?
Because that's a very shocking comment.
What's shocking?
Your midfield is not going to be better than our midfield. Sorry,
you just mentioned 2 players, and we mentioned the fact that Odegaard, Thomas Partey, and Tielemans. Let's be honest.
You haven't got Tielemans yet, so I don't know why you're talking about someone that you haven't got. He might not even come.
I said if we don't, then fair enough. But
hypotheticals, we could all talk hypotheticals all day long, but you haven't got him. And
you really got triggered by that.
If
we get Tielemans, it's a better midfield.
Arsenal do not have and will not have a better midfield.
You know what? I'm going to back these lot. Because earlier, when I was talking about hypotheticals, you wanted to sit there and be like, nah, can't talk about hypotheticals.
Yeah, like hypotheticals.
It's come back.
Come on, man. We're talking about he's going to have the best season.
Fall into their own trap. Oh no! In the same show, is have hope here. What's going on? I don't know. Do you know? I think the systems are going to be a huge part in this. Like both players are quality, and listen, Bissouma is different, but I saw him go to Stamford Bridge and dominate midfield. So I've seen him go to tough grounds against brilliant teams and dominate. Equally, Partey against City at the Emirates in January. You know, sensation. If Gabriel hadn't had a few crazy moments and Xhaka giving away a penalty, Arsenal would have won that game, and he would have been the star. I do think Conte's system is going to be really interesting because sometimes who gets seen as the best player is often it can often be the individual that becomes the star of the show or gets a lot of accolades. And the way Conte is going to play, especially in big games, Bissouma is going to be so key in terms of breaking up play and then just moving the ball into those attackers for the counter attack. And things like match of the day will play a part in this. Sky Sports, BT Sports, and who they focus on. Does that make sense? So Arsenal, they're focusing on, if you guys are doing, both you and Spurs are doing well. And I get the feeling at Arsenal, the players like Saka, the new guys that come in this summer will be real key focuses for the pundits, for the media, for your fan base. And there's always someone who gets left behind. This happened to Liverpool with Mo Salah. Even when he was scoring all them goals, it was always Trent's and Van Dijk's and Mane's. People were always held in higher regard than him. So I do think that's going to play a part in it. I think Bissouma could end up being one of these players, especially because he costs 25 million. If he's playing brilliantly, it will be 25 million. Look how well he's done, pound for pound. I'm really excited about the kind of matchup because we all do it and it is fun. You know, once everyone's signings are in, we're all going to do it. Frankie de Jong will get thrown into the mix. There'll be more pressure on him because he costs so much money. Just like when we did who were the 3 midfielders we compared a few years back? Who was the midfielder battle between? There was 3 midfielders that got signed in the same summer. I know when it was strikers, it was Lacazette.
I remember the left backs.
Lukaku.
We sat here and talked about left backs, and it was Tellez, Chilwell, and who was it? It was
I don't know the other one.
Yeah,
It was Tierney, yeah. But I remember the strikers. You had Lacazette, Morata, and Lukaku. That went down badly for all of us, didn't it? I swear when Pogba signed, other clubs signed midfielders as well.
It was Pogba, Xhaka. And do you remember Mane? It was Pogba, Xhaka, and Mane signed in the same window. Obviously, not the same position. But
no, I swear
was it not Kante? Was it not Kante as well?
I still remember that
Fred and Kante might have been it. Yeah, there was something, and I know a Man United player was involved. But look, I'm intrigued by it. It's going to be a real interesting one for me to see how it plays out.